Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Cooking in the Kitchen with Jeffrey. Today we're making tofu squares, salad, and rice. Tofu, you ask? What is tofu? Comes in this package in the store. Okay, tofu, it's also known as bean curd, is a food prepared with soy milk and pressed into curds into solid white blocks of verifying softness. Can be silk, soft, extra firm, and it's very good for you in the store. I'm probably going to get some raves for this, but whenever I've used tofu before with people, they've said, yuck, we want meat in our food. That's fine. If you want meat in your food, so be it. But tofu just replaces the meat and is actually very healthy for you. So if you love tofu, go for it. If you want meat, go for it. I'm not going to have any problems with that. With that in mind, let's start making today's dish. First thing we're going to do is start making rice. For those of you who have never made rice before, you of course need a pan. Then you need to take your rice, pour your rice into your pan. This is, by the way, long grain rice. There are several different kinds, which I'll get into in the future. But for today, we're using long grain. Pour your long grain rice into a pan, a little bit, just enough, not too much. You'll notice also that there's a measurement thing on the back that tells you how much rice to use. I've never used it, I've just guessed, which is a very bad technique. I don't recommend it. I recommend you following the instructions, and I'm going to start doing that. Okay, so you put your rice in your pot. Then you take your rice and shake it all around. And no, you don't do the hokey pokey, but you shake your rice and you put it into the bowl. Then you put some water in the pan, just enough to cover your rice. Like that, just enough to cover it. Then you take your rice and you put it on your stove on medium heat, watching it very carefully. It's on the stove now. I usually turn it to 5 and I watch it very carefully. And when it starts to bubble, then you turn it down to 3, cover it, and let it sit for about 20 minutes. But it will also depend on the kind of oven you have as well. So that's where you go with your rice. So we've got our rice on, which is good. Now we're going to start making our salad. So what you need to do for your salad, I'll be right back. I'm just going to get a bowl. You take your bowl. And you take your salad shreds like this. I usually use spinach, but I don't have spinach today, so I have regular salad. Take the regular salad. You take off 2 or 3 little, what do they call them? Shreds, not shreds, but pieces of salad. And what I would do is, after making sure that you wash them, of course, you take them. Oh, that looks so good. Take your salad, and I would take a knife. You can also get them cut up pieces. Take your knife and cut it up. Your salad, holding your knife like this with your fingers like this. And one finger on the top, chopping by going down and up. Too many people make the method of cutting incorrectly and chopping incorrectly. I will show that in another video in the future. But for now, just chop up your lettuce, making sure not to chop up your fingers. Take your lettuce, put your lettuce into a bowl. Like this. Oh, that looks so good, that lettuce. Just just like that. There's your lettuce in a bowl. There's half your salad done right there. And go into the fridge, get some cheese out, some really good cheese. Open it. When the package cooperates, there's another solution. I wouldn't recommend doing it this way, but when you're in a rush, you're in a rush, I guess. Okay, so you take your cheese, cut it into pieces, like this. Okay, and then if you're ever so talented, you take your piece of your block of cheese that you have, like so, line them up after cutting them. Okay, so you see I've lined them up like that. Then you just take your knife, being very careful. I wouldn't recommend this for beginners. I would recommend doing it one piece at a time, or for even advanced chefs or people who are in the kitchen, just cut them up one piece at a time if you can. Okay, there we go. There we go. So I'm cutting up my cheese. No jokes about cheese, please. And then I put the cheese in here, into the salad. And then you didn't see that. Then I got a pepper. Get a pepper like so. Move these out of the way. And cut up your pepper. Once your pepper's cut up, once your pepper's cut up, making sure that's being de-seeded, you put it in, you cut it up, and you put it into your salad. Again, being careful when you're slicing to remember how to cut and chop properly, which is sometimes what people forget. It just comes to practice. You put that in your salad. So you have your salad done, pretty much. Now you have to make your dressing, or if you're in a rush, you can always buy your dressing. I personally prefer to make it, which I will show you in the next video how to make dressing. That's not what I want. There we are. Renee's salad dressing. When in a pinch, Renee's will do. Asian sesame. This is stuff I use. Okay, when you're in a pinch. I'm not going to put it over top of the salad yet until I'm ready to eat it. The salad dressing keeps it fresh. So you've got your salad done. You have your salad done, pardon my language. Now you're ready for your good or not so good tofu part. This is the fun part, and this is the easy part. Okay, so what you've got to do is take off undo your tofu container, or what I usually do if I have trouble with the container is just cut it right down the middle, like so, into squares. Doesn't matter because it's going to be cut to squares anyway. Make sure that all the water from the tofu is being drained out. Tofu actually helps to preserve the tofu, believe it or not, so it doesn't dry out. At least that's what I believe. I'll do some more research on tofu for you guys. And next dish that we make with tofu, I'll give you some more info on it. Because I'll research it. I personally love tofu. And I'm not, as I said, not very much of a meat lover. That's why I try to stay away from it, except the only problem is when you're teaching people, they love meat. And they, well, as I said, some of them just disgusting. They just disgusted with tofu because the tofu is all, what's the word? Yucky, but actually it contains protein. So why not give something a try, right? So I strongly recommend it. So what we're doing is cutting our tofu into squares. We're cutting our tofu into squares, putting it on our table, on our cutting board, trying to make it look even. Okay. Okay, so they're all cut up. The tofu is all cut up. Okay, so I'm still cutting it up. There's a lot of tofu in the package. You can get it at any local grocery store. QF has it. Thrifty's has it. Other stores have it. The price you pay for anything depends, of course, on size and how much it weighs. Okay, so there we go. We have our tofu. As you can see, we have our tofu. There we go. It's there. So far, our salad is made with our salad dressing beside it. Okay, so now what we're doing next is we're just gonna preheat our oven to 350 degrees. Preheat means heat before, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know. But of course that's easy. So I'll preheat it to 350. Oh, one thing. My rice is boiling, so I have to turn it down to like 3 now and cover it. So turn the rice down, cover it, and preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Start that. It's now preheating. Always make sure there's nothing in the oven. That's one of my pet peeves, is when I go to use the oven. I hate it when people leave stuff in the oven. I don't recommend it, and if you can help it, don't do it. It's a bad habit. My point being is, okay, where are we? Point being is make sure there's nothing in the oven. Okay, so we have our tofu now. Now, we have one of our baking sheets we have to get, which is here. Okay, so now you have a baking sheet. This is a baking sheet. This is one of the best baking sheets right now. It's actually in very good condition, but you see all the stuff on it? Stuff that's hard to get off? That's because I didn't use parchment paper. Parchment paper is just paper that fits over the top to protect it from getting dirty, and so you don't have to clean it as much. This is your parchment paper here. So what I'll do is I'll roll out a piece and I'll stick it on there. And I will put this over here for a set. No. Okay, now what I do is I take my tofu cubes here and I stick them on here. You'll see what it looks like in a minute. Merry Christmas to everybody, by the way. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. I love my Christmas carols while I'm singing. It puts me in a good mood. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Okay, so this is exactly what we're doing. We're still putting the tofu cubes on as much as we can on one sheet. I don't think we'll be able to get it all on one sheet. Might have to use two, but that's okay. We'll do that later. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe we can do it. Guess what, guys? We did it. Okay, hold on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the tofu cubes look like on the sheet. That's what they look like on the sheet. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to take a little bit of, yes, magic ingredient. Sweet, not sour, but good. A little bit of maple syrup. And we're going to take the maple syrup and we're going to take the top off it. Like so. Comes out with the top off. And we're going to pour a little bit of maple syrup over it. Just a little bit. And we're going to make sure that all of the cubes get covered in maple syrup. This is another reason I use parchment paper, because maple syrup sticks. And we don't need that. Then we're going to wait for our preheated oven to heat up. And then we're going to stick them in for half an hour. And then after half an hour is done, we'll take them out. And then we'll get everything ready to go. What I would recommend doing at the beginning, though, is when you're doing this, is make your salad, make your rice, which we did. Then when you're doing your rice for 20 minutes or so, stick them in the oven. That was my mistake. I was just trying to show you guys how to do this on the first video. Because try and get them done at the same time and then you can eat them. Okay guys, so hold on 1 minute. I'm going to check the oven just to see if it's preheated yet. Still preheating. Silly oven. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tofu cubes now and I'm going to put them in the oven and I'm going to stick them in for half an hour. And when they're done, I'm going to take another video and I'm going to and I'm going to post it and show you guys what it looks like when they're finished. The next time we'll go through it together and we'll do it from start to finish, and then you guys can see exactly what it's done when it's done. Okay, so what we do is we stick the tofu cubes in the oven, like so. Then we stick them in there and we put them there for, let's say, 40 minutes. Turn your light on so you can see. And after 40 minutes, they should be done. Okay, guys, the whole procedure is simple and easy. But one thing I would recommend for beginner chefs is anytime you're using the oven, you need to have somebody around who can supervise, because the oven can get extremely hot. One thing that I normally do, that I recommend, and I'll show you. Usually they come in pairs of 2, but I recommend using, when you're putting stuff into the oven, one of these, 2 of these actually, one on each hand, one to hold it. They're called oven mitts, and they're to protect your hands from getting burned. Be very, very careful, as I said, for youngsters or people just beginning when you're around the stove, because the stove can get extremely hot, extremely fast, and you do not want to burn yourself. That's the last thing I want you guys to do. I hope you enjoyed this video, and tomorrow I'm going to be doing a baking video, and what we're going to be talking about tomorrow is how to do cornbread using a special kind of pan. Don't worry, it won't be hard. So we're going to be doing cornbread tomorrow for baking. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to doing tomorrow's cornbread recipe with you. Merry Christmas to everybody, and I will talk to you tomorrow from the kitchen, where it's always better to eat together. Have a good evening, guys, and Merry Christmas.